Welcome to the podcast. So today we're going to be talking about habit audits and how paying attention to what you're actually doing, what habits you're being successful at, can really help you develop the goals that you're working towards and navigate what needs adjustment, what could be improved, what you're doing great at that you should just keep doing, those types of things. So basically, I want to talk about the benefits of doing what I call a habit audit. And I do this with all of the clients that come in and that I work with one-on-one with coaching. And we essentially go through a little bit of their history of what they've tried in the past, what's worked, what hasn't, but also looking at their actual behaviors in life. So, how are they showing up every day? What are they successful at? What are they actually already implementing? That could be things like maybe they go for a morning walk, maybe they take the stairs, maybe they are having lots of protein with their dinner, little things like that. Maybe they're really good at hydrating, paying attention to what they're actually doing well, and then figuring out what they're struggling with. And this happens over a period of a week. You get an idea of what you're working with, and then we can build from there. So I do this a lot with my own habits, behaviors, etc. And I try and do it maybe every month so that with each new month, I can think about what are the behaviors that I'm doing, what are the habits that I'm doing, and how are they aligning with the goals that I want to implement. And when we do this with new clients, it's really helpful for me because it helps me understand where you are, what you've experienced, what your journey has been so far, and what habits you've already had success setting up in your life. Because, if you're working on behavior change, understanding how you already implement things is really good at helping someone or helping yourself figure out, okay, how have I been successful in the past and how can I use that success to be successful again, right? And it can be really simple to do. It just requires a little bit extra effort each day. So you're sitting down, whether it's at the beginning of the day or at the end of the day, and sort of reflecting on what you've done that day. What were the things that went on? What happened that were behaviors that you either want to work on or that you think are in alignment with your health goals, right? One of the biggest tools that we can take from coaching as a practice is the process of reflection. And I'm going to teach this in my new course that I'm working on that's really to help you learn how to build a better breakfast for yourself and actually work through the resistance that you get when you're told, oh, I need to have breakfast. Okay, but how do I do that? How do I put it into my life when I'm busy all the time? I get up, I have to go. I don't have time, right? So this course is going to help you do that. But one of the aspects of that course is essentially teaching you the process of reflecting on what your experience has been so that you can learn from it. This is essentially the habit audit, right? Whether you're doing it for breakfast or you're doing it for your walking, your exercise, whatever your behaviors are, your sleep habits. A lot of times you're not even aware of, are you getting enough sleep? Are you going to sleep on time? How are certain behaviors in your day implementing your sleep habits? Do you have a sleep routine? Do you just sit on your phone and watch a bunch of TV and then be like, okay, it's time for bed, but you can't go to bed because your mind is racing? All of those things play into how well the behaviors that you want to do happen, right? So part of that reflection process is learning to recognize the patterns and the consequences of things. So if I do this, this will happen, right? For example, this is just my body. This is how I respond to certain things. But for me, if I eat chickpeas, I know that my body doesn't like to digest chickpeas very well. So I'm going to wake up around 3 a.m. because if I've eaten chickpeas for dinner or lunch the night before, my body won't sleep through the night because it's waking up and it's trying to digest chickpeas. That's just me. That's how my body works. But I know that is something that's a consequence of me eating chickpeas. And so it's something that I've developed an awareness of. Now, I still eat chickpeas, but I've accepted the consequence of if I do this, this is what is going to happen. So part of that reflection process is learning to recognize those habits. And that first journey that I take with clients, working through those reflection questions, and I give them a little questionnaire, and I teach them the process of developing this skill of reflection. So looking for those patterns, right? And then once you start paying attention to the patterns and you start paying attention to how you're actually showing up, what you're actually doing, what you're successful at, then you can start to be like, okay, where am I not having quite as much success, and how would I like to change that or get better, or is there a skill that I need to learn? Paying attention to that and developing a game plan, a roadmap of where I would like to go. So I do that with my clients and I teach them, okay, so this is where we're at. This is what we've reflected on. Okay, so now what? And then we figure out what's next. And that's really the fun part, because then you get to dream and you get to be like, okay, in a perfect world, I aligned with my values and I did behaviors that aligned with my goals. What would that look like, right? So then you can take your desire for specific goals and align certain behaviors with those. So you can develop this process of building new habits and implementing changes in your life. And obviously, it's the kind of thing where you don't want to bite off more than you can chew. You want to do things very gradually with one little habit at a time and building on top of that. I know we get really excited about the idea of a new identity and becoming someone new and taking on the personality of someone who has all these fabulous health behaviors, but like starting with one step is really more important than doing all of the things at once, because if you try and do everything at once, you're not going to be successful. So to wrap up this short little episode, I really just wanted you to take a minute to think about your own habits and how you're showing up, and if the ones that you are implementing in your life are in alignment with your values. You know, I did my own little reflection recently and I looked at my calendar and I was like, I had this goal of lifting 3 times a week, and I looked back at the last couple months and, well, that's not on there. But I was successful with walking a lot more. I've been implementing this new strategy, this new process that I've been using on how to get myself to go for a morning walk, right? And I've been very successful with that, which is, obviously super exciting. But I have not been quite as successful about lifting 3 to 4 times a week, which I would like to be doing, but sometimes I have a tendency to lean more into getting work done than focusing on myself, which I know we all do, and especially entrepreneurs. When we work from home, we're very much like go, 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 do the work, and we forget about ourselves. And one of the things that I really want to help people navigate is this journey of how do we, as overachievers, as perfectionists, as people who want to show up in a very specific way that is so, building this business and working hard and like achievement and success, and how do we remember that our own health behaviors matter, right? And that those health behaviors are what support this journey. And so showing up for our own health behaviors is really what is going to allow us to continue to work for ourselves and to continue to have a job where we don't burn out. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they pursue this thing and they struggle so hard. And I know, because I've done this, I do this. We just get really hyper-focused on a project and we work and we work and we work. And then it's 9 p.m. and we haven't had lunch, we haven't had dinner, we haven't moved our bodies, we didn't stand up all day. That happens. It's so easy to fall into that. And so I think not only does a habit audit allow you to take a moment to reflect on how you're showing up, but then you can start to tweak things. And it's not a judgment of, oh, you're doing the wrong things. Oh, you're bad at this, or you're failing. It's none of those things. It's tactical. It's to help you look at the actual, what are you doing? Okay. Unless you're paying attention to what you're actually doing and being intentional about it, it's really important to be intentional and to pay attention to what you're actually doing, because that allows you to be like, oh, look, this is what I've been doing. not quite what I really want to be doing, right? For me, when I look back at my life, I want to move. I want to move my body. I want to spend 90% of my, okay, maybe not 90% of my day, but like a good large portion of my day. I want to be outside. I want to be moving my body. I don't want to be on a computer. I don't want to be behind a screen. I want to be doing things. And if my behaviors, my habits are not aligning with that, there's a disconnect. And then we get spiral in this like depression mode of like, oh, I'm mad at myself because I didn't do the thing and I feel guilty. All of those things. And so anyways, I'm rambling here, but my point is take a look at what your behaviors are. Take a look at your habits. What are you doing well? What are you being successful with? And then what are you struggling with? And if you are struggling with things, what can you do to change them? And I think so often we think that it's all on us to figure out, and it's not. You know, that's why there are coaches. That's why there are people out there who are trying to help you implement new behaviors. So if you're feeling like you need a little help with that, sign up for my newsletter, sign up for that habit success worksheet that I've thrown in the show notes, and see if you can do some reflection on what your behaviors are and how you can change them. And hopefully you found this useful, and I will see you next time. Ciao.